Hi, good morning everyone. Uh, Sorry for the delay from my end in starting the session today. So yes, let's start. So today we are going to discuss the last 50 days that we are left with for SEBI Grade A. All of you might have been waiting for first the exam dates to come out, and now we are left with last 50 days. So what exactly we should be doing, how we should be strategizing, how we should be spending our time so as to increase our chances of clearing this exam. Okay, it's been a long wait, so I'm sure nobody wants to miss this opportunity, right? Okay, so Shubhra, I know most of you, keep thinking this only, that syllabus is so much, how to revise, how to study, where to start, where to stop, how much to cover. So these are some of the queries that I am trying to answer today for most of you. And this is very very important, because just knowing things sometimes is not enough. For all these competitive exams, you also know that being able to perform that time is very very important. Right? So pattern of the exam, if I discuss and just go over it very very quickly. Once again, we know that in phase 1 there will be two papers. First paper is your QRE plus GA, which will also include financial sector of easy to moderate difficulty levels. Okay, so please notice this, that they are including financial sector related questions, right? So when they say general awareness including financial sector, I will come to each of the strategy and what all should be covered, but please see that they are saying it's easy to moderate level here. And then we have the QRE. No sectional cutoff has been mentioned. Okay, so it's a cumulative paper of 100, time cumulative 60 minutes, and no sectional cutoff is there. So that is the best part, that you don't have to worry about clearing a sectional cutoff for quant or reasoning or English or GA. So whichever is your strength area, you can focus on that to clear it. Okay, your cutoff is 30%, but the strategy should not be to stop at 30, because you don't know how much you will be able to get there. So you should always aim for something extra. Aim for at least 50%. Okay, this is the least. At least aim for 50% in your first paper. Second paper is depending on the stream. Today I will discuss more about the general stream, because this is the major it has the major vacancies, and the most confusion is here, because it has a lot of subjects. So I will be discussing more about the general stream. In general stream there are 6 subjects, 100 marks cumulatively, 40 minutes paper, 40% is your minimum cutoff that is required. Overall cutoff is 40%. Okay, so just getting 30% here and 40% here will not help you to clear phase 1. Remember that. So you need more than just 30% and just 40%. That's why I said at least aim for 50% here, and at least aim for 50%. At least, this is the least, right? But you should try to push up as much as you can in whichever is your strength area. Quickly looking at the phase 2 pattern. Your phase 2 pattern is again consisting of 2 papers. Your first paper is your descriptive English, where you have to write an essay, and there will be a précis and then a reading comprehension. So that is again a 100 marks paper for 1 hour. And then the general stream, same subjects, same syllabus. Okay, so there is no change in the syllabus, there is no change in the subjects between phase 1 and phase 2 for paper 2 for the general stream. That is again a very good part. Why? Because you are simultaneously preparing. Unlike any other exam, sometimes altogether the subjects change, and therefore you are confused whether to first focus on phase 1 or to focus on phase 2. Here in this case, you are performing both both together. So yeah, so some people for the at ixamBee we also provide guidance and courses for apart from SEBI general stream, for legal stream, for IT stream, and for research stream. So there are four streams that at ixamBee that we are providing guidance for. As I said, today I will talk more about the general stream. For the legal, research, and IT stream, we will try to hold similar kind of sessions specifically. However, your paper 1 strategy both for phase 1 and phase 2 remains the same irrespective of the stream that you have chosen. So this session is still helpful. I would request all of you to please go with me through, stay on, as in even if you are from an IT stream or a legal stream or a research stream. Okay, so Shubhankar, to answer your question as to 100 marks covered in 40 minutes for paper, paper 2, both in phase 1 and phase 2, they have said this. They have not, SEBI notification as of now has not mentioned what will be the number of questions here. They have also not mentioned, when if at all they will give the clarification or not. But if I go by the past trend and by the time given in 2018 last, when SEBI had done the exam, in their paper 2, that time also the maximum marks were 100 and the duration was 40 minutes. And before the exam, when the admit cards had been released, that time they had come out with a circular stating that paper 2 will consist of 50 questions, 2 marks each. And that time also in the notification it was 100 maximum marks and duration was 40 minutes. So going by that trend, we believe that this time also in all probability it's going to be 50 questions of 2 marks each, that will be there for paper 2. So that's the safe assumption that we are working on. Okay. So Abhishek, as I said, there are some, Abhishek, you mentioned about legal. We'll hold a separate session for legal to cover specifically on that. And Vikas, again for IT stream also, we'll try to do a similar session. Okay. Khushbu, yes, the course is covering all the things as per the syllabus. You can go through the demo and if you like it, then you can reach out. I am not the right person to tell about this. You can reach out at the website and the contact details for any inquiry related to the course. Okay, so yes, I'll go ahead and I'll keep answering in between. So I think some of your questions, like you are asking about numericals and will there be or not, how many questions. So I think I will either be answering or some of them I have answered also. So yes, please keep going through that. Okay, so now how you should prepare is, one, you have to divide your preparation, but so we can very clearly say when you are preparing, you can prepare for the QRE part, then the static part of paper 2. So all the subjects of management, commerce, accounts, finance, economics, costing, they all have a lot of theory parts, static information, conceptual points that you have to understand. So that is one aspect, and your third aspect is your GA plus the dynamic part of paper 2. So paper 2 is not 100%, I would say mostly it is, majority is static in nature and conceptual nature, and that is what you should focus on also. But there's sometimes some parts that have a current affairs or a dynamic portion related to it. For example, monetary policy. Of course, you need to understand what monetary policy terms are and all. But when I come to dynamic part, what is the current repo rate? What is the current CRR rate? What is the current SLR rate? Or what did RBI governor recently said in his monetary policy? That becomes the dynamic part. So that is, I am clubbing that preparation with your general awareness, because general awareness will be your current affairs also and your static GA also. Okay, so you will have to prepare for all of this simultaneously. Okay, it cannot be like, you know, you preparing for QRE for 1 month and then for static theoretical part for another month. It cannot be like that. Things are interrelated, and also you need to give enough time to all of this. As I was telling you, just clearing the cutoff stated there, 30% for QRE and GA and 40% for paper 2 will not qualify you for phase 1. Overall also you need to get the cutoff of 40%. So you need to be, you need to give that buffer. That, as we say now, there should always be some buffer stock with you, and that is what you should always keep with you. Okay, now so what we have to do, how much time do we have? We have approximately 350 hours if I go by the fact that we have 50 days and we are spending approximately 6 to 7 hours a day. Okay, at least 7 hours is what I have assumed that one should be spending to for these exams. Of course, this can be tuned up and down depending on your preparation, your background in terms of education and experience. There are some things maybe which you are able to cover in 1 hour as compared to anybody else. So that kind of leeway you will have to give person to person, but approximately for a 7 hours basis is what I think you have a 350 hours time for preparation. Okay. Some of you is maybe starting to prepare now and wondering, is it enough time or not? So just let me quickly recap you the initial actual position. The actual notification had come out on 7th March. Okay, and the exam was supposed to happen on April 12th. This is phase 1 I am talking about, and phase 2 was supposed to happen in May. I've forgotten the date. It was supposed to happen in May, right? So that time actually you had just 35 days after the notification for the phase 1. Okay, so it was doable, and that time, at least now the fact is known that the SEBI exam pattern has changed and you need to include a lot more subjects. That time also it was the same situation, and still only 35 days window was given, and eligibility is there for all kinds of postgraduate students, right? So it was doable then. It is definitely doable now in 50 days. So all those people who have this query, if I start now, what should I do? Will I be able to do? The answer is yes. The thing is, you need to believe it that you can do it, and this is enough time. Okay, you need to stop asking this question again and again from say 10 or 20 different people. Believe it, it is yes. I'm saying it is possible, but you need to give your 100% and believe that it is possible, and I'll give that time and do it. Yeah. So what all to study in every subject? Yes, I am coming to it one by one. How many months current affairs, all these queries, I will be covering. Okay. Now what the strategy should be, you should take the syllabus as your guide and follow it. Okay, again, many times we waste a lot of time in trying to accumulate and gather syllabus related information and trying to check it and verify from different sources. Okay, all the paper 2, even paper 1 QRE, these are all known facts, the way of solving. There's nothing new will come out of how a profit and loss situation will be solved, or a distance and speed situation will be solved. Okay, or decoding, or how all these patterns, the rules of English don't change if you ask from 10 different people. So you need to stick to the basic facts. Once you know that, you need to practice a lot. So stick to the syllabus. And similarly for paper 2, a lot of conceptual things are there which don't change from one book to another or from one person to another. So you need to believe and follow one source and then build on it by practicing and increasing your depth depending on your time, how much ever time you have. So there is no end to knowledge. Please remember that. So don't waste time in trying to verify things from different sources, the same things which don't have the possibility of being wrong at different places. Current affairs, okay, I may say that you may look at one or two sources to make it more comprehensive, but for other subjects it's not required for you to accumulate the same material from 10 different books and trying to read all those 10 books. Okay, so stick to one, believe in that, trust that source and prepare accordingly. Okay, and then you need to master what you know by revising and revising. So this is the overall strategy. There is no shortcut to it. There is no two-way about it, that you need to practice and revise. Okay, so if we do 6 to 7 hours a day, this is what we get. Now the 50-day plan, as I said also initially, that we have to prepare for all these 3 sections that I have divided the subjects into simultaneously. So for QRE 100 marks, you have to study this for all the remaining 50 days and spend around 1 to 2 hours in a day for this. And what you should be doing here, you should be here know the short tricks. So many of you might have already done that. Many of you may already be good in English, so you don't need to spend the time in revising those tricks or those basic rules again and again. If you are new, then yes, know the tricks, shortcuts when it comes to reasoning or quant, know the basic rules related to reasoning questions and English, what tenses are, how they go, how they have to be used. Know that basic rules once. It will not take too much of time to know those basics, and after that practice. And when you are practicing, you should learn to skip and pick the questions. Okay, so just being able to solve a quant question should not be your aim. Your aim should also be how quickly you are able to solve. If one question today you are able to solve in 1 minute, next your aim should be that I am able to solve that kind of a similar question in say 40 seconds, or keep reducing it to 30 seconds. So, and then there should be, and only when you practice you will come to know which are the questions that will take more time and the ones which will take less time. And therefore this is the art of learning to skip and pick which one to skip the question which is not worth your time and which one is worth picking up. So speed and accuracy comes with practice. That is the mantra for your QRE. There is no two ways about it. You have to practice, to get the perfection, to get the speed, to get the accuracy, and to learn the art of skipping and picking the right questions for yourself. Right, that's why I said all 50 days you should be spending 1 or 2 hours in giving a lot of practices. Maybe the initial 10 days goes into knowing the tricks if you are starting it for the first time, knowing about the basic rules in English and reasoning, and then all the remaining days should be spent in practice. Learn from your mistakes. If you are practicing, you will go wrong sometimes. Maybe you're not picking the right questions, or they are taking too much time, but all this you will only get to know when you sit down and practice. Only thinking that I will be able to complete QRE in 10 minutes or 15 minutes or 40 minutes in the exam, this will not take you ahead, right? So you really need to sit down and practice. That's why I'm saying 1 or 2 hours depending on how much at what level today you are in this paper. So those out of 7, 6 days you can do, 2 days you can give to English, 2 days to reasoning, 2 days to quant. Again, if you are very good at quant, maybe you can reduce quant to 1 day. If you are very good at English, maybe you can reduce English to 1 day. So depending on what your strength is, you can change that. Okay. Okay. So legal and IT stream, as I keep saying, uh, that we will try to do a separate session for that to specifically answer your queries related to that. QRE, however, remains the same for legal and IT exam also. Okay, so PKM Rajput skip and pick is confusing, and that is what I'm trying to sell. That will only come with practice. There is no short trick to learning which kind of questions to pick, which not. Only to some extent maybe it can help, but remaining it will depend on you, and you will get to know this with time as more and more you practice. Okay. Next aspect is your GA, which also includes the financial sector. Again, you have to be very consistent in your preparation for general awareness. Spend 1 to 2 hours daily on this. If you are the best source for GA always is the newspaper. However, if you are not in the habit of reading a newspaper, then the best alternative that we can provide you is our Bpedia. Okay, this Bpedia is available on our website under the general awareness section freely, so you can download it. It comes in two formats, the weekly and the monthly format. Okay, so there is a weekly and then there is at the end of the month a monthly format, in which we are covering news from various different aspects related to finance, economy, national, international news, state news, science and technology, agriculture, defense, events. So all different aspects, static related, dynamic related, for your exam. Finance and banking and economy will become a little more important as compared to other things, but you are definitely not skipping the other things, because these are the easy questions, the low hanging fruits, okay, which can give you a lot of push in your paper 1. It can help to build up, to pull up your score in paper 1. So it's at one source you will find all kinds of news. Another good part that we do is we've made all this based on the analysis of not just SEBI paper, but also various other papers that keep happening in the segment. So you can go through our YouTube channel for the analysis we did for NHB, PFRDA, RBI assistant, all these exams. The general awareness questions, good 90+% coverage has been from Bpedia alone. Okay, so a recurring question, where should we cover GA from? You can very well trust Bpedia. Okay, as I said, you need to trust. The factor is not me saying yes or no, it is you believing and you trusting, and you can go through the videos for the proof if that is what you're looking for. Okay, in the Bpedia we also give a lot of static information, right? So when we say in your general awareness, you need to learn about two aspects. One is current affairs related news. Maybe they ask you that what is the minimum allotment to an investor allowed by SEBI. So that's a question you need to know, is 1 crore. But what if they ask you, what is the meaning of infrastructure investment trust? Maybe you don't know it, maybe you will Google and find it. To just save on your time, I'm not saying you cannot do that, of course you can do that. Just to save on your time, we provide such static information along with the news, so that at one place you can learn and revise and move on quickly. So save on all these times, and this all we have been able to do only after a lot of analysis of not just SEBI but many other exams that happen in the banking system. Based on that, these are the topics that you should be focusing on. Current affairs, of course, related to economy, finance, and in general what is happening around you. Then as I said, apart from the banking, financial and economic, also otherwise current affairs, who is getting a what award, what's happening in sports, so those kind of news. Then very important, union budget, economic survey and other packages. This year, I'm specifically talking about this year, this has been an unusual year. I would say budget and economic survey importance has relatively reduced. Okay, one, it's been a long time. It came out in Feb. Now we are sitting in when we give the exam, we will be in January when we give the SEBI exam. So the relative importance has reduced. Plus, A lot of things has been done by the government because of the pandemic, right? So knowing about the Atmanirbhar package 1, 2 and 3, and then what all RBI has done, what has SEBI done, what has government done in lieu of the COVID situation. Okay, what are the different kinds of estimations, projections so many institutes, international and national, have made about the growth of India and other international or important countries. So that becomes important. Then the national education policy, that's very important, because it's happened after years, decades, there has been a revision. So those kind of things is what you should know about more. And the budget and the economic survey's importance, I would say, is relatively less in the current situation. Reports and indices, the summits that have been held, the committees that have been made, who are the heads of those committees, those kind of questions are important. And from static point, books and authors. So there is a book that came out by Barack Obama. Okay, they are important people. If they write something, it is important. N.K. Singh, the chairman of the 15th Finance Commission, he's an important person in the financial space. If a book has been written by him, you should know the name. So such books and authors are important. Important days, the capitals of various countries, their currencies. National parks is one static information that comes in a lot of banking exams. And likelihood it is they're going to be there in the SEBI exam also. So all these things are important, and this is how you should spend your time. 15 days for static, 35 days for current affairs. Current affairs will be recurring. Every day read one or 2 hours, that will be enough. Static, it's not going to be like 15 days at a stretch, but approximately, depending on your current stage, 10 to 15 days you will very comfortably cover the static GA portion. Now, to answer the question which recurrently people keep asking, how many months to go? Should we go as per the notification time that came out in March? So should we cover from March and go 6 months beyond that, or should we say the exam is going to be Jan and then we go 6 months or 4 months or 8 months beyond that? My answer is stick with this. Don't go by the notification now. SEBI is a very dynamic organization. It's a very updated organization. Okay, so it's not like, they will make the paper thinking I gave the notification in March, so students should be studying from then and they should know everything about it. No, we personally think that it's safe that you should study from the exam point of view. Most important will be the 4 months. It's like the most important to cover at least the 4 months, and then backwards you can go as much as you cover depending on your state of preparation of other subjects. Okay, so 4 months is like you cannot miss at all. Safer time is 6 months, and after that how much beyond you want to go will totally depend on the time that you have. Okay, that should not be your aim, and always start from the most current. So if you today start studying for current affairs, start with the November month. Do not start with 6 months beyond, so I should start from August. Don't do that, please. Okay, start from the most current and then go backwards. Okay. Ankur, the questions from QRE and GA will be jumbled up. They are no sectional cutoffs. They have not stated any sectional marks also for these. Okay. Right. So I think right. So let's go by that. So that will be the GA strategy. After that, coming to our next paper 2, which consists of our 6 papers. Again, simultaneously you have to study all 50 days from 3 to 5 hours a day on these subjects. Going by each of these subjects, start with the Companies Act. This will be a very important area, but being important does not mean that you're studying this all 50 days. Okay, stick to the syllabus. As I said, there is no end to the information that you can read, the related topics, the peripheral topics, the fringe topics, whatever word you may want to use. There's no end to it, and there is no guarantee. Nobody is sure. You are not sure, I am not sure, no other platform or no other person can be sure, because ultimately we are not preparing the paper. The paper is being prepared by somebody else at SEBI, or maybe even SEBI outsources it. We should not go there. We should prepare the best of our assumptions, our experience, trends, what has happened in the past. The safest thing that you can do is stick to the syllabus. Peripheral things related to those topics can be covered. There are 7 chapters that Companies Act has been specifically told about in the syllabus. Stick to those. Do one each day. Okay, so if I again look at them, how they have chosen the topics, the first 3 topics, chapter 3, 4 and 8, they are all related to raising of capital and being a securities market regulator. This is very, very important for SEBI, that people know what are the rules related to raising of capital. And in this also, I would say have a lot of conceptual understanding to terms used in the share capital and debentures. This is one chapter that is kind of covering all the conceptual words that you can think of in the capital market: capital, preference shares, equity shares, debentures, a premium, discount, switch equity. So there's buyback, rights, bonus issue. So all the things that you keep hearing in news about the capital market, all those terms are covered under this chapter. Please do focus on this chapter and know the definitions, understand the differences. The other 3 chapters, 10, 11 and 12, are basically ensuring that good corporate governance is happening. These are the people who are the first level of checks, that the company is following all kind of governance and following the rules, the auditors, the board of directors, and then how the board is functioning. So this is another important function of SEBI, ensuring that everything is happening, the markets are working in an efficient manner, in a transparent manner, there is good corporate governance, and therefore these chapters are important. And the last 27th is about the legal framework for the companies. What is the legal framework in India if the companies do not follow these things? So study them from this point of view only. The questions are likely to be direct. Okay, no interpretation related questions, very unlikely. Maybe there is 1 or 2. If you are starting today, you should not worry about it. You can risk that 1 mark or 2 mark instead of risking your 3 or 4 days in trying to understand that. So please, CP sir also, if you have seen his videos before, he keeps pointing about this term, return on term invested. Okay, you have to be very, very careful about that. What is the return on your time invested? If you are trying to understand one particular aspect, okay, of auditors, and you spend 5 days on that, there is no surety one that there will be a question related to that. If there is, there will be 1 question of 2 marks which you are risking at the most. Is it worth your 5 days? Okay, so you are today in a situation where you need to prioritize from your current situation. Okay, so hello world, as you are asking, security market se bhi question aayenge. I don't know. The safest bet is to stick to the syllabus. Companies Act, be inspired. I said peripheral topics which are related to these topics. For example, when we are talking about prospectus, okay, the Companies Act does not talk about the ICDR regulations. However, the prospectus is very important if you are issuing capital. So if anything is related in terms of who should be vetting the prospectus, the prospectus first goes to SEBI in a draft form. So knowing that fact is more than enough. But do you need to read the entire ICDR regulations? I will say no. Okay, maybe knowing prospectus is used for an IPO. Then how is the IPO done? How many types of investors are there? There are retail investors, there are QIP, there are non-institutional investors. Knowing these terms and meaning is more than enough. Again, do you need to read the entire ICTR regulations for that? Answer is no. Okay, so securities law and how much you should know, only what is directly related to these topics, maybe knowing a little about that is more than enough. You don't need to read the entire regulations. Okay, so that should be a strategy for Companies Act. And also please remember, there are 6 subjects, 1 paper. Okay, something is important does not mean your all 50 questions will come from there. You cannot leave out the other aspects for one particular part. It's not even different papers, it's the same paper having different topics stated. It's not even sections in the same paper, right? So after this is your accounts. A lot of confusion is coming here also in terms of what all should we study. Should we study old accounting standards or should we study Ind AS? Again, I am saying you are asking the wrong questions. Stick to the syllabus. Accounting standards, Ind AS are very, very new. In some aspects they are still under implementation. Okay, they are still under implementation for some aspects, like banks have not done, NBFCs have just completed, okay, in 2020. Yes, other organizations had been adapting those, although there is a transition phase happening here. They are very new. It's highly unlikely the questions are related to Ind AS rather than AS. Again, mostly all of this will be conceptual, which does not change whether under Ind AS or AS. Like the depreciation definition does not change whether it is AS or Ind AS. Depreciation methods do not change whether it is AS or Ind AS. So basic accounting principles do not change whether it is AS or Ind AS. Revenue recognition does not change whether it is AS or Ind AS. The way they are telling you, that changes, however the principle does not change. So stick to that. That is where you should focus on rather than trying to compare AS and Ind AS. If you have covered all, you have time, there is no harm in going through the corresponding what is corresponding Ind AS saying about that AS. That is more than enough. Again, depends on your time. If you don't have time, I will not say that you should sweat over it. Don't. Do what you know and stick to that, because just reading and reading and reading will not help you, because that time if you're not able to remember and if you are confused, what is the point of reading all that if you're not being able to remember at the time of the exam? So don't overload information in your head without being able to do proper justice to it. Financial statements will be important. Numericals, somebody had asked for me, numericals, how important they are. I will say very less. I cannot say zero probability, but there is a very low probability of any question coming from numericals. If they do, they will be like very direct, like they tell you the current assets and the current liabilities, and they ask you to calculate the current ratio or net working capital, or they give you the net working capital and current ratio and they ask you to calculate one of these. So simple questions where you just put in values in the formula. Okay, simple numericals can be expected. However, I still feel there is a very, very low probability of numericals being asked. Buyback, rights, bonus, these are some important topics, concepts that you should be aware of. They are recurring with your Companies Act also, because the topic of Companies Act chapter 4 that I was telling you, that covers buyback and rights and bonus also. So from both the aspects, knowing these is a important topic. So if I go by the importance, the increase, this being the most important, your financial statements, how they are presented and what all is there, that is important, followed by bonus, rights and buyback, and then your accounting standards. In this also the most important mostly will be inventory, depreciation, revenue and investments. The unlikely topics according to me are asking for any general entries. Okay, now if anybody says, you know, the asking you the meaning of debit and credit, that at least you should be aware of, because that is where accounting studies start. But they actually asking you to do a general entry, the probability is almost 0 to you know, very very low is what I would suggest. Numericals I have already explained, and accounting standards in depth, as I started with this. Ind AS or AS, what to do, how much depth should I know all the comparison, why the changes happen? No, you are not going there to become a CA or become a lawyer to fight on the accounting standards there. Okay, third aspect is your finance. Here we are covering financial markets, financial inclusion, derivatives, what is happening in the financial sector. So a lot of this aspect, updates in the financial sector, is getting covered, is being prepared if you are following the current affairs. You are reading about, you know, the newspaper or Bpedia, whichever you choose. If you are following that, this aspect of yours is automatically getting prepared. Okay, so you don't have to separately spend time. So understand those integrations between topics. Okay. So Shubhankar, you can cover standards, you know, from if you want to go to the source, the most source from where they arise is the ICAI. Otherwise, you can study from you know, any other accounting book if you want to know. And then of course there is the ixamBee course also if you want to study from that. Okay. So in finance, what all, again, I think financial markets is the most important topic. You should understand the structure of the capital markets. Mostly that financial, there is a capital market, there is a money market. You don't need to go too much in depth about the money market. Yes, know the brief in terms of what money market is, what are the instruments in the money market, like what does a commercial paper mean, what does a certificate of deposit means, what does a T-bill mean, how they are different from each other. So knowing all the types of instruments in the money market and who are the participants is more than enough. You don't really need to understand the entire working of it. Capital markets is very important. SEBI is the regulator. You need to know about the capital markets, and not, when I say capital markets, it's not only the equity market, it is also the corporate bond market. Many people miss out on that why should we do so much about the corporate debt when, you know, in India it's not even trading. That is not correct. Corporate bonds trade in India, is just that the participation is much lower. So know about the equity and the corporate debt market, both of it. And the other conceptual important topic is derivatives. Again, don't try to understand the pricing of a future or an option, or you know, how do I calculate, how will I make a profit, you know, trading is happening, if the times close, what happens, will I get a loss? You don't need to go into the calculations, is what I am saying. You don't need to go into the you know, numericals of derivatives. You need to have conceptual clarity in terms of what a futures is, what a forwards is, how are they different, what options are, how are call option and put option different from each other. What happens if you know, if the market spot price goes up to a call option, what happens if the prices fall to a put option? So that kind of conceptual clarity should be there in your mind when it comes to derivatives. And then developments in financial sector, as I said, what is happening around you in the capital markets, in the banking space, in the NBFC space. This, you don't have to make an extra different effort. If you are following the news regularly, this is automatically getting covered. Financial inclusion per se is not, you know, I wouldn't say it is a very equally important topic for SEBI exam. For RBI maybe, but for SEBI, having an understanding overall is enough, more than enough. So, you know, if you spend half a day on that, that will be more than enough. Overall, you can give 10 days to finance. And this should, you know, it doesn't have to be at a stretch. Like I said, 7 days you need for Companies Act, 1 day extra I have written for revision purpose, so that all the topics also you need to revise once. Similarly for accounts, in all of these keep 1 or 2 days for revision purpose. Without revision, reading everything will may not help, because being able to recall is also very very important. So do give equal importance to your revision time. Coming to costing, costing is again very easy and scoring. Okay, now some people, non-finance background people will start questioning, how is it easy, ma'am? There are so such fat books for costing, for budget costing, budgeting, and then for standard variance there are so separate books. And how is it that you are saying it is easy? Why I'm saying is the major part that they have covered most in detail is the lean systems. Now this is pure theory. Okay, pure theory. And if you are non-finance background, so I will say you will understand it even more quickly. For engineers, I think for production aspects and efficiency aspects, you study all this and you would have read about all this so much more, like what is Kaizen, what is just in time. So there is no rocket science in these terms. This is all theoretical. You read it once, you revise it once, and you are done. And any question comes, you will very easily answer it. Then methods of costing, again there is one basic understanding of what are the cost items. Once you know what is prime cost, once you know what are overheads, once you know what are administrative costs, that's it. And you would have come across these terms also in when you are trying to study the financial statements. Okay, here we are just adding the word costs. Different kinds of expenses we are breaking them down into different names of cost. So try to do that integrated study. The moment you understand that different methods, then it is not so difficult to comprehend. In process, we know something is going from one step to the other step. So the product of this becomes the input of this. This is just logical thinking. For this, if you are struggling to remember, oh, process costing is a type of method which I have to mug up, then it will not, it will scare you. So just think of it as a logical step. It is, all this is very logical. So take it from that point of view, and costing can be a very 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 scoring subject here. Cost control may be a little, you have to remember technical things related to standard variance, standard costing and variance analysis. Okay, but yes, once you go through that, it will be done. Most confusing aspects come when people start talking about the quantity variance and the price variance, where what we should multiply with. Okay, quantity variance is there, so the variance should be between the quantity, right? And therefore you are your actual quantity, and you're comparing the standard and the actual quantity. Okay, which price you should take it as? Okay, that is what the logic you have to remember. I'm not talking about it here in detail. I have to cover a few more aspects. But as I'm saying, once you remember, get that logic, just put in, just remember that, and that is more than enough. The topics that you should be worried about here: understand the concepts here, costing, and be a very very scoring aspect. Lean system, as I said, is all theory. Other things that you should know about is the different kinds of cost, what they mean, what is the break even, what the standard cost means, and variance. Budgeting, simple budgeting techniques. This is also theoretical part, a lot of it, which you would also have read about a little when you're doing the management part. And then there is the lean systems. Okay, so this is what you should keep your focus on. Very easily can be done in 6 to 7 days. Management, again a low hanging fruit. Easily 6 days are more than enough. Focus on the management basics, like what is a manager, what are his duties, what are the key functions, what are the principles of management, what are the managerial roles. Stick to those. Leadership styles and theories, a lot many there. Stick to the important ones, like know about the Likert scale, know about the managerial grid, know about the path, houses path goal theory, know about the situational theory. So these are very very common theories. These are talked about more and more, again and again. This is what you should keep focusing on. Motivation also similarly, you should know about the most common important theories and the difference between motivation and morale. Okay. Yamini, difference between the question of phase 1 and phase 2, the level maybe will go higher. In phase 2 a little more deeper, the same topic can go a little more deeper. However, if you have the conceptual understanding, it should not make a difference in your preparation as such. If you are starting now, I would suggest leave the peripheral topics. If you have not started now, if you are doing revision, do revision, and along with that, if you can come across peripheral topics, you can cover a few of them, read about it. Don't again make the agenda covering of peripheral topics your main agenda for your management, right? Keep revising what you know, because management, I keep saying that this is what is always I have said, management is easy to learn and is as easy to forget. Okay, so revision is very, very important in management. Okay, last part, economics. So there are two aspects to economics. One is your conceptual microeconomics, like demand and supply, and theory related to money, and Keynesian theory and all. So your micro and macro concepts, your theories of economics. And then there is the second aspect given in the syllabus, which is macroeconomic in nature, more related to what is in the news, like what is the fiscal policy, the NBFCs, the monetary policy, the GDP, the national growth, and all. So in most exams, this is what has been the focus of all the regulatory bodies. It's likely to be the focus here also. Yes, some theory based questions as to demand, elasticity, what is supply, what is intersection of demand and supply, what is the Keynesian theory, those kind of theoretical questions can be there. So that is where you should limit yourself. Again, all these topics in themselves are huge. You do not need to become an expert economist here. You need to understand the basic meaning. What does the theory say? Because most questions are likely to be asked that way. This theory says this is the relationship between demand and supply. So that kind of things you should be aware of and understanding. And this again part, a lot of it will be covered if you are following news, and if you are following Wikipedia, a lot of static information also related to this will be covered here. So follow the current affairs and build on your concepts on those current affairs. Like if there is something about the fiscal policy, about the fiscal deficit, then you build on your static part by understanding what does a fiscal deficit means. So that is your strategy. That is what you should do in your 50 days. If I have to summarize, phase 2 is a lot about revision. People sometimes, many of you would end up just reading and reading and reading and reading till the last day. Okay, let me cover this also, let me cover this also. I saw somebody talk about this topic and I did not have not studied about it, let me study this also. Or in some mock test I gave, there was one question which was not as per the syllabus, I think, what I have studied. So let me go and find a book or a person who can tell me all about that topic. Don't do that. Okay, don't overload your mind with so many new things that you forget what you already know. So in paper 1, I say practice is most important. In paper 2, revision is most important. So cover all your topics, have the conceptual clarity. After that, avoid any unnecessary details and wasting time in peripheral topics. Okay, if you are starting today, don't waste your time in peripheral topics, please. Okay, if you have done already prepared, covering some peripheral topics, knowing them in a pass is enough. Otherwise, revise, recall what you know. We did a session with Mahidhar. He cleared RBI 2019, and that was his point, that he pointed out the best that has worked for him. I'm not saying it will work for others, but you can learn from other students like these who have cleared so many exams, that he did revision 5 to 6 times of the same thing. it matters. We may think, okay, I have already know this, why should I do it? In the exam time, that time, in what mental state you are, we don't know. And the more you have revised, maybe even if you are nervous or maybe not well, for God forbid, that time, then if it has been revised so many times, it goes in your conscious mind, subconscious mind, and it comes to your foremind more quickly than anything else that you have just superficially read once. Okay, make notes, your own notes, whether digital notes or handwritten notes, that totally depends on you, but make your own notes, because it then stays in your mind. Again, this is a memory thing, this is human, this is just whatever you do yourself, of any person, any human tends to remember it better than anybody else's notes. So make your notes, even however brief they are, whatever format they are in, but make your own points and keynotes, and then at the end revise, revise and revise. Okay, what can be expected? Just to summarize, Companies Act will be an important topic, but as I said, that does not mean that that is all you do. Okay, you have to cover everything. Second, capital markets, like types of securities, issues, is an important topic. It is common with your finance, commerce, accounts and Companies Act. Know things about that. Derivatives concepts are important. Fiscal and monetary policy is very important to know. Then in your economics, your macro things like inflation, national income, and basic concepts like demand and supply, focus on that. They are likely to be the most likely parts. In management, leadership, motivation, managers role, functions will be important. Communication, yes, read them, because these are again easy questions, direct questions. In costing, focus more on understanding the concepts rather than on numericals. Accounts, again, don't go for accounting entries, confusion between accounting standards. Focus on understanding all the accounts related concepts here. The other aspect I will talk about is, this is what you can expect. However, nobody can be 100% sure about the paper, as some of you also mentioned here. So please be prepared for the unexpected. Be prepared, there can be some questions which was not in syllabus, or which was a fringe topics or peripheral topics. Okay, and don't be unfazed by that. Why I am saying is be prepared, because when I say be prepared, doesn't mean go and study every possible peripheral topic. I am saying be prepared mentally. Have that acceptance that there can be some questions which you were not expecting, or which are peripheral topics, or which are not so important topics, and still out of the blue they have asked of this. Okay, remember ROTI, ROTI. Okay, how many questions of such nature can be there? 1, 2, at the max 3 out of your 50 questions. Will you sacrifice your other remaining 47 questions for these 3 questions? This is a competitive exam. Okay, you have to prioritize your time, where you need to invest. So invest in the expected. The unexpected things may happen. Be mentally prepared for that. It shouldn't be like the first question is the unexpected question and then you lose all focus. Now what should I do? I did not study this. Now I will not be able to clear the exam. No, you have the remaining 49 questions to look at, to perform and to give your best and clear the exam. So focus on that. Have that acceptance that this situation may arise and I will not be unfazed by it. Okay. So this can happen. I am not saying it cannot happen. Do not be pulled down by such questions. Stay calm. Staying calm at that time is very important, because if you don't, you will spoil the other 49 that you actually know. Okay. Do not lose focus of the questions that you do not know, and attempt what you know. Right? Not to-do list, again very important. Do not copy anyone else's strategy. As I said, there may be people who are starting today. There are people who started in March. Okay, don't try to compare. There may be people who are from different background, there are people who have working experience, there are people who don't have a working experience. So everybody is unique, and therefore the strategy is also unique to yourself. You can learn, you can take inspiration, and you can understand from others experiences. However, the strategy will be yours and unique to yourself. Do not study like one particular aspect. If companies act is there, doesn't mean you start studying like a CA or a company secretary. Okay, if we are talking about a particular act, doesn't mean you start studying like a lawyer. It's a generalist job. Study like all these chapters like a generalist. Don't try to become an economist. Don't try to become a lawyer. Don't try to become a company secretary. Yeah, whatever education or advantage you have, use that to your advantage, but give enough respect and time to other subjects, other topics that are mentioned in the syllabus. Do not try to study from bulking books cover to cover. Don't neglect practicing QRE. I will add, don't neglect the power of revision of your of whatever you have done, and the descriptive English that we so many times forget. Please write an essay regularly, occasionally, and get it checked. We have descriptive English mock test also in our course. If you want to avail, if you want to know about it, you can reach out and visit our website for it. Okay, for those people who were asking about mock test, we have mock test, free mock test on our website. All mock tests at ixamBee are always free, and we have, as I told you, for 4 streams. We offer for general stream. Apart from that, we also have for phase 1 and phase 2 separately. For phase 1 is common for all the streams. For phase 2, we have for general stream, we have for IT stream, we have for research stream, and for legal stream. Okay, so all of them you can attempt at our website for free. You can contact at 920-5524-028 for any more details if you are interested. I would also like to tell you about 2 more channels if you are preparing for other bank exams. We have a separate channel, Bank B, for the preparation of bank exams, and we are starting a new channel for SSC and railways preparation, SSCB, so you can check those out also. Thank you. That's all we have for today. Thank you, everyone.